Welcome back to Studio F, where on Fast Times Willy B, we'll be reviewing A Quiet Place Day 1. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russell!
Welcome back to Fast Times Willy B. I'm Willy B. I got Rosie back. Rosie, how are we doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing good.
Good.
So today we'll be reviewing A Quiet Place Day 1, a prequel to the 2018 film from John Krasinski. He also did a sequel called A Quiet Place Part 2. So this is the third movie in this universe, and it takes us back to where it all started. John Krasinski did not direct this one. This one was directed by Michael Sarnowski. So we get a new name. He directed Nick Cage's movie Pig for a movie that, others might know. Cast is almost completely new. We get one returning guy, but, we get Lupita Nyong'o as Samara. We get Joseph Quinn as Eric. I was really excited to see what he did in this. Obviously, love him
great.
as Eddie Munson in Stranger Things. Schnitza, the cat, plays Frodo,
Amazing.
the cat.
Outstanding.
Alex Wolff in this one. Not in it for a long time. Spoiler. But, he plays Ruben, who is a nurse in this movie. And then we got Jaimin Hansu, who returns as Henry. And he was in the second one. He was kind of the unspoken leader of the island in part 2. And here we see him kind of leading the way to the island in one of the ships that's departing the city, the big city in New York. But we'll start with the good. And I would start with the acting.
Oh, phenomenal.
When you see the cast list for this one, you have no doubt that you're going to get some great performances. Nyong'o continues to impress in every role she's in. And she does it once again here. I saw someone said that the best acting in Hollywood right now is her eyes. And
amazing.
She is amazing when it comes to face acting.
Her eyes are stunning, and I think for this movie in particular, that you can see a lot of fear in anyone's eyes.
Yeah.
But hers, definitely, you can see, and you can, I don't know, it's phenomenal.
I mean, we saw it with Krasinski and Emily Blunt. We even saw it with Cillian Murphy. You have to be able to face act in these Quiet Place
especially
movies.
I would say any movie that has a lot of fear or intense moments or...
Well, not even just that. I mean, you can really make an intense moment with a hell of a scream or, if you're in a yelling argument, a lot of people love yelling scenes, but this movie, you have to be able to face act.
Yeah, because you can't scream.
You have to stay quiet. And we get it once again here. I praised the acting in the first two movies, and once again... we are not let down. Joseph Quinn blew me away. I thought he was honestly the standout.
So great.
He plays almost, this... he plays this sidekick almost.
Yeah, he came out of literally nowhere.
Out of the flooded subways.
Yeah.
But he plays... he catches up with Nyong'o by meeting Frodo first, and... he's this nervous law school kid from England that's doing law school in America, and this happens.
Yeah.
And, he kind of is lost without her, so he follows her around like a puppy dog at first, and then turns into a beautiful relationship.
Yeah, I agree. They make a good team, I think, too.
And just throughout the entire movie, his face acting, his emotion, even when, there's dialogue and the moments when it's raining and stuff like that, he used up his screen time really well.
I think he was phenomenal. I love the part where they're standing under the overhang and it's raining and she's asking his name.
Yep.
And he's still hesitant to
say Eric very faintly.
Yeah.
No, he was fantastic, and I love how the relationship blossoms between these two to where, he's like, I gotta get her this pizza because it's her dying wish, because... backtrack, she's a cancer patient. Ruben, played by Alex Wolff, who doesn't make it very far into this movie, is her nurse, and you kind of get a weird vibe between them, maybe there's some, feelings there.
Yeah.
And then after he passes, he fills that role of her best friend, because she almost feels lonely in this world without Frodo, her cat.
Yeah.
And he does a really good job at making her final moments, worthwhile.
For sure.
And I thought Joseph Quinn just was awesome. I was really happy to see him do so well because, again, I thought he was amazing at Eddie Munson. I got the bat tattoos to prove it. And getting to see him in a bigger role in a movie.
Yes.
And see him shine like he did made me really happy.
Phenomenal.
Excited to see what he does going forward as well. I know he was casted as Human Torch for Fantastic Four. So I'm going to be interested to see what he does with that. But overall, the acting in general was really good. Wolf and his limited screen time did a great job. The cat was great.
Yes.
But
I feel like there was very few times where maybe like once where you could tell that the cat was obviously not a real cat at that moment. I feel like,
but it was a real cat.
well, I know for the but there was some scenes where you could like kind of tell, maybe just because of how
still really good job.
They did a great job at. I think Frodo was a great actor.
Another
actor.
Yeah, actor. Another thing you get with the Quiet Place movies, that always shines is sound. Which is crazy to say because it's a movie called Quiet Place.
Right.
But when you're in a movie that is 90% silent from the actors, you got to make sure the sound is good.
Yeah.
And the sound once again was good here.
It has to be worth it.
With the subtle like white noise in the background, like the wind blowing or the crunching of the feet on the steps, or the flowing of water, or the little like rattle that the aliens do.
Yeah.
All of it was done really well. The sound was great. The sound design was great. This also pours into I thought the score was good. The soundtrack was fun. We had some really fun commercial music songs, especially the one we get at the end.
Yeah.
And the way that's done is really well done. But I thought the sound design was really good in this film, and you get that with all three of them.
For sure, I would agree. I really liked how she was using the headphones and how that kind of played into the sound too. Yep. I don't know, it was very with like the second one, how they use the microphones and speakers and all that. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Another good I'd throw out there is cinematography. This movie looked stunning.
Some great shots.
Yeah, and another praise I give to this universe is the set design. I love the set design in the first Quiet Place.
Yes.
Second one's also phenomenal. And here we get it again. And, in the first two, it's almost like that outskirt feel. They're in a, smaller town, middle of nowhere. And then you get the island, which looks nice. This one, you get to see what the apocalypse would look like 3 days into, or what a big city would look like 3 days into an apocalypse, basically. Yeah. And I thought they did a really good job with the smashed cars and the blood smeared on the cars and the buildings and the ground and the occasional foot in a shoe just laying detached from a body. Yes, the attention to details was really good.
For sure. I love the shot of all of the bridges getting shot down. And there was the one scene, I think it was when they were doing the shelter-in-place call still. Or again, I suppose, and all of the aliens are like crawling all over the sides of the building, and you got like that aerial shot. That was great.
Yeah, the big city shots were really cool. Especially seeing the creatures crawl all over. The scene that you see in the trailer, where they're running through that glass building and seeing that come to life and seeing the full form of it was really cool. Seeing the aliens drop through the glass building, and how that all went. And just once again, the set design and everything that went into making this movie was done technically well done.
Yes, I'd agree.
It connected very well to the other movies. Obviously, getting Henry's story where he started in the big city and he kind of led, the boat departures to the island. That was a cool connection. But the other connection I really like with this movie is, it's interesting to see the disconnect between people living out in the outskirts and people living in the big city. Because when you watch A Quiet Place and then watch part 2, Krasinski's family, Lee, I can't think of their last, I think it's the Abbotts, whatever their family is, Krasinski's family, they have no idea that these aliens can't swim until the boat scene in part 2.
Because they're not around any water.
Yeah, and then they had, all those people had to figure out on their own not to talk. And it was cool because in New York City, they knew all that stuff day one. because they're that big city. People are coming to New York. Like, the military is on New York City first step.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's, you talked about the blowing up of the bridges and how cool that was. I think it's really cool because it connects the movies in the sense that there's a disconnect between, the populated areas and the less populated areas.
For sure.
In the sense that, like, these bridges are being knocked down and you're like, okay, they can't swim. Out in, middle of nowhere, they're 500 days in the apocalypse before they even find out that these guys can't swim.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, and it almost made it, it added to the consistency, in my opinion.
For sure.
And then obviously connecting Henry's story because he was one of the first ones on site when they finding out that they can't swim.
Yeah.
I thought they did a really good job connecting everything.
I like that when we found out this movie was coming, how in the second one, when Lee, played by John Krasinski, walks into the little shop or whatever it's playing, it's like New York City, whatever's going on in the news station. So this is like what they were watching on TV, but like in a first person perspective.
No, that was really good.
Cool.
Yeah,
I love all the connections. There wasn't many, but they did them very well.
Another thing I would throw in the good is the ending.
Oh, yes.
We'll get into the story itself a little bit later in this episode, from me at least, and the ending really pulled me back in there at the end. They were losing me for a minute, and the final scene where Samara is making noise to distract the aliens because she's dying of cancer, so she knows her time's coming. She's making all this noise, smacking cars with a crowbar, so that Eric, Joseph Quinn's character, can run with Frodo and get to the boat as the boat's leaving. And all this is happening. He looks like he has an easy shot, and then all of a sudden he steps on a pop can. And they're all chasing him down. You get the epic jump into the water.
Yeah.
And none of them jump after him because they can't swim. And she just smiles. And then you get this little, after he gets pulled onto the boat and he reads the letter from her, you get this, little, voiceover from her as she's walking through the city. You can hear the city sing when it's quiet and she's listening to her music.
Yeah.
And then she just unplugs it. And you just see one drop behind her cut. Movie's over. I thought that was a really good ending.
I think so too.
Really powerful.
I wasn't sure of how it was going to end.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure how much time we had left in the movie, so I didn't know if they were going to go on further with her cancer diagnosis or how they were going to end it. But I was not expecting that.
No,
and it connected everything.
Yeah.
And she was at peace. She got to go to the pizza place that she grew up going to and seen that picture of her and her dad. Yep. And it was like a full circle.
She got to live again.
Yeah. It was full circle for her, so I think she was satisfied with her time.
And she even mentions that in the note, because that's what the voiceover is her reading this note. And she talks about, she's thanking Eric for helping her live again and hear the city and, experience everything again. And I really like the ending. That's about it for me in the good. There is a lot of good in this movie. For the most part, this is a good movie.
Yeah. If you like the first two, I definitely would give this one a watch because it kind of is a different perspective.
Yeah.
But
same story. Did you have anything
overall.
else for the good?
I think we touched on everything.
Okay. So we'll hop to the meh. And I'd put the storytelling and pacing here in the meh. Again, I don't think it's a bad story. For the most part, it is a good story, but the pacing is a little up and down. It teeters between boring and then super tense. In those super tense moments, you're in. You're captured. You're not taking your eyes off the screen. But those in-between moments, and I get it, Quiet Place 1 and 2 had its moments where it's slower, but I never felt bored watching them. There were moments in the theater today where I was sitting there and I was like, man, this is almost a chore. And you don't want to say that watching a movie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't often, but there were a couple moments where I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Pick it up.
For sure.
And this was the longest runtime of the three. The first two are like an hour 30, hour 35. This one hit an hour 40. But I don't know if it was just it was mainly the story, I guess. In the first two, we're following this family, and in the first one, they're all in different locations, so you're kind of jumping around. The second one, it's the same thing. The mom's visiting the site, the son's trying to save the baby, and the oxygen's running out. The daughter's with Cillian Murphy's character, and they're discovering the island, trying to get over the radio. There's so many different things going on, but the pacing is really well done. It's you're captured, you're
For
in.
sure.
This one just had a little more downtime because we're following the same two people the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I like the relationship we get built in these two, but it hinders the story and the pacing a bit.
It would have been kind of cool to see, like, we understand that it's a movie about the two of them, essentially.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been cool to see, like, the people getting on the boat and other people's points of view.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe. Because I know there was only a couple of boats, so, like...
Yeah, seeing more of Henry's story might have been cool.
Yeah,
you know?
like, was there, like, a fight to see who got on the boat? Or
even
things like that.
In part 2, they mentioned how there were 6 boats and only 2 of them made it off the shore. We didn't get to see any of that. We just see the 2 boats in the water and just Quinn's chasing them down. And that could have been something that would have been really cool, helped with the pacing. And again, I liked the 2 characters we got. I liked the relationship that was built. But there were moments where I was sitting there and I was like, this is boring. You don't want that.
Yeah.
But overall, again, I do think this is a good movie. There were just moments that I was like, this could have been changed and it would have been a lot better. Or you could have gone a different direction.
Right.
But that's really the only, like, downfall I have. A lot of it's in the good.
For sure.
I don't have anything in the bad. I don't think there was really anything bad about this movie.
I don't either.
The visual effects were good. Everything looked good. It just could have been a little bit better of a story at some moments, and the pacing could have been picked up. But
for sure.
At the end of the day...
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
It was still great.
Yeah. Did you have anything in the bad?
I don't think I do have anything in the bad.
So then we'll hop to our final thoughts and rating. What do you want to leave off with A Quiet Place Day 1? And what do you give it out of 10?
I'm going to leave off by saying that I was watching just the trailer. I had no idea the Samara's background with her cancer diagnosis.
Yeah, you don't know that at all with the trailer.
So
there are a lot of clips in the trailer that kind of give away some big parts. Like the glass scene, that's a tense part. Yeah. And it's in the trailer
but you don't know who...
And her getting under the car and the guy pulling her leg, that was in the trailer. Just like some of the tense moments in the trailer. So you watch the trailer and you're like, wow, this looks like it's going to... There are some down moments. Sure. That's what I mean. The trailer's misleading, but it doesn't give too much away for sure.
So I like that. I kind of like her story because it's not just... It's kind of like a story within a story.
Yeah.
Because you get to learn a little bit about, like, her dad and what he did and how she spent her younger years. Yes. So I kind of like that. You get a little bit of background. Because I feel like in some intense movies like this, you don't get a lot of character background. Yeah. So I like that. It kind of added a little bit more to it, especially with, like, this is a traumatic event. Yeah. And there's lots going on.
To this, to this world that we've had for 3 movies now.
For sure. So I really liked getting to know them, and that would be it.
What do you give it out of 10?
I'm going to give it a... My goodness. I will give it a 7.
Okay. For me, I'm going to go 7.5.
Okay.
So I think
I was going to go 8, but I think I'm going to land on 7.
I think it's a peg below an 8. I think it's a very good movie.
I think so too.
But it's hard to say it was great just because there were some pacing issues. There were some things that I would have liked to see more of, like Henry's story. Yeah. Maybe a check-in on, I don't know.
Yeah, I think seeing the boats leave the dock would have been something.
Yeah, that would have been a cool scene with losing 4 of the 6 boats. I don't really want to say a check-in with Krasinski's family because I like that they kind of steered away from what we've seen for 2 movies.
Yeah, I think that would have thrown it off because it's not the same realm. Yeah. Like, we don't even know, like, if it's there yet.
But maybe, like...
Because it wasn't there yet.
Something, like, another scene that I feel like would have been cool, like, little, like, Easter egg is, like, you know, Cillian Murphy's character in the second movie says he's going to call his brother and see what's going on. Maybe something like that, if his brother just happened to be in New York. They didn't say where he was. They could have made his brother in New York City.
Well, he was in the military, I think.
Yeah.
So... The military was in New York.
Not really going over to their city and checking completely on them, but like connecting it in some way. I don't know. Yeah. But there were different routes you could have gone. But overall, I thought it was a good movie. I definitely recommend it. I think it's the weakest of the 3. But I still enjoy it.
For sure.
That's usually how a prequel goes. You know, we got spoiled with the first and that's not the typical thing where the prequel's one of the best in the franchise. Yeah. it was a good movie. It was definitely a serviceable movie, worth the watch.
For sure.
Especially in theaters. Go check this out on the big screen. But it's definitely the weakest of the three.
Yeah.
That'll do it for A Quiet Place Day 1.
All
Rosie,
right.
thank you for coming on, my love.
Of course.
Thank you all for watching. If you like what you're watching, please check out some of these other videos. Hit the subscribe button or follow the social links down below. Again, we always appreciate you for watching, and we will talk to you all soon.
Peace and love.